Yo, what's up? This is Splendid Radio on Pharcyde TV. My co-host Jeremy Scipio had to hit a stage tonight. You know what I'm saying? He's an accomplished comedian, so he does that thing like that. But for the guest tonight, we got somebody that I've known for a very long time. Uh, Met him on the wildest whim. OG Maha. Back like that old that way back. You know what I'm saying? And I ended up coming out to Oxnard or Ventura. It was one of the two, and I had to drop off some printed materials or something like that or whatever. And I had came to the radio station. It might have been some shirts for the radio station. That could have been it. But anyway, I was introduced to you, and I really didn't know too much about the 805, didn't know what you did or whatever. I knew you were a personality or something up there. I knew that
it's a character.
You were not a character, but you were moving around like you weren't an intern, put it that way. You know what I'm saying? I knew you were moving around in the mix. And then it was crazy because after meeting you there, I just saw you pop up just like in all this different type of hip hop related stuff. You know what I'm saying? And then I kind of got it that you were kind of like the Ventura Oxnard ambassador guy, like the dude, like you were that bridge between Oxnard, Ventura, and LA, and probably all over California, though. You know what I'm saying? But
for sure.
I would definitely see you pop up at little different events in LA, and I'd be like, damn, DJ. I'm like, damn, he's out here. Yeah. And so nah, man, it's crazy because like I said, when I first met you, I didn't really understand it. I didn't get it, but like I was literally up there to just drop something off and then come back down. But it was crazy how, that chance meeting turned into, me hitting you up for drone information. You know what I'm saying? You're that tech guy. You know what I'm saying? So I've hit you up on a couple of situations where I've asked for your opinion when it came to technology. Right. But with all that being said, where were you the first time you heard hip hop, and what was the song?
You know what? I think the first time I heard hip hop, honestly, I think it was going to be the one I remember is going to be called The Breaks. Curtis Blow. I was a little kid. My oldest brother, about 10 years older than me, he would always bang music on the weekends. So he'd turn the stereo up and he was listening to some Curtis Blow. And I think that was probably one of the first times I heard hip hop. It was a mixture of funk music, and then Curtis Blow was like something new that was coming out that he started playing. Yeah.
You know what? That's so interesting you say that, because I remember, so like my memories of hip hop was like MTV, the little Moon Man on TV, the little Moon Man stabbing the flag into the moon and all that. But when I think back, you saying that, okay, everybody heard, Rapper's Delight. And that was kind of like everybody's like the ooh, the ah, the comedy and all that. But people think over Curtis Blow, because Curtis Blow, he was on the like K-Day out here. So he would be on K-Day, but he'd also be on KJLH. You know what I'm saying? Like he was one of those rappers that he was part of the hip hop wave and movement, but not saying he was kind of like grown up or more mature, but he was, and I won't call it crossover, but I'll say he was played on both stations.
On the radio,
Yeah, for sure.
And thinking about too, when you say hip hop, a lot of the times we're thinking about like rappers and stuff. So I also have to like correct myself and go back to the days, because we were really breaking first, you know what I mean? So like Africa Bambaataa, like that too. It's like we were hearing some of that music first too. So that was kind of like a good intro to hip hop, you know what I mean? For a lot of cats too as well. So just, it's not always just like rap with the MC, but it's just the music and the culture together, breaking, MCing, DJing, so.
And something funny about what you just said? So me thinking about that and you breaking it down that way, say for instance, if you see somebody that is kind of like uncoordinated and can't dance, but then they hear some, like some Soul Sonic Force or whatever, they start wiggling around and whatever, and it's kind of like, man, what are they doing? But then you saying what you just said about the breakdance and everything, I think back, we just had a little more coordination, but like
I think so.
It did the same stuff to us though. You know what I'm saying? When you heard Soul
Yeah.
Sonic Force and the and the 808s, that was like that kind of like that made that, I guess we just didn't wiggle. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And, you know, but it changed everything. It was something that was like so unique. You're like, you know, how could you not like take part in it? Like, you know, so
yeah.
I think it was back then. Yeah. I was a kid.
So when did you realize that music was your passion, or that you had a passion for music?
Oh, you know, like when I was like in fifth grade, this is the time I think I can like kind of narrow it down, because I've had to think about it before. Like when I was in like fifth grade, you know, the sixth graders came to our school and the band was there, right? And they came in, and in the cafeteria, they laid out all the different instruments right there. So all the kids could walk in and they could put their hands on them and stuff and touch them. And, you know, it was letting you know that in the sixth grade, that's our middle school, that you could join the band. There's like, you could chess and checkers club and all sort of stuff. And they had all the instruments out. And honestly, like, it's funny enough, like I seen the Christmas horn, the French horn. And I don't know, as a kid, like, I love that thing. And like, they're like, yeah, you can learn how to play it. So it was like, I think right then is when I decided, hey, you know what? I'm going to join the band. Like, I want to learn how to play that. And I want to learn how to play the drums too. Like, cause you could learn it. I think it was right then, like, I knew that's when I was like, hey, I want to join it. In sixth grade, I was interested in reading music and then learning how to play the instruments. And like, I think it was then, and this way before DJing, like way before, you know, all the rap stuff, you know what I mean? And it was, I think musically, that's when I found it right there. And then, you know, it goes on through high school in the band. I was drum captain in senior year, playing the snare, like had the drum on me like Nick Cannon, you know. So
you know the crazy thing about that, that's something that these kids don't have now. And not to be the old fogey, like, oh, you know, we're better, we're doper, we're, you know, we're whatever. But it's kind of like, you know, I got introduced into music in the seventh grade. And it was like, and it's crazy because, you know, I picked the trumpet. And the reason I picked the trumpet is because I was like, well, it only has 3 valves on it, so it's probably easier to play. Wrong. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, you gotta have your lip. You gotta have your lip. Yeah, so totally wrong. So I started playing the trumpet. And you know, my dad, his whole thing was, even if you're not a dope musician, he said, if you can get an appreciation for music, no matter if you're at a play, if you're, you know, at a concert, if you're watching a movie, whatever, you have another point of reference to connect with whatever, you know, whatever kind of art that has sound to it. And so you know, that was dope. That was dope. You know, I have an affinity for it, and I never could play it, but I like the trombone and the valve trombone. You know,
okay.
Those are, yeah, dope instruments. But yeah, man, I would say band programs are pretty much a wrap, you know.
you gotta have them. I mean, like, I know it's different now, but some schools still have them, you know, like my high school and in my area, we still have them. It's a big deal to us here. So hopefully we can hold on to it. My daughter, I talked my daughter into a couple years of it. Okay. Then high school came around and she wasn't having it, but
nah, man, I'm waiting to see the high school band where the guy comes out and he has the straps for the drums, and he has an MP. He has an MP sitting in front.
You know, I think it's been done already. I think it's been, you know, DJ Fresh comes out with something like that, but he's not in the band. But like, you know, it's gonna happen. You know, the electronic stuff has already been in place with stuff. So I think it's legit though. They should.
Nah, that's tight. So what city did you grow up in?
I grew up in Ventura, California. So okay. Yeah, Ventura, California, about an hour from LA, hour north from LA. Right on the beach, you know? So I grew up right here in Ventura. That freeway that everybody in LA drives on to get all back and forth, where they say they've never heard of Ventura.
If you had to ask me about Ventura and Oxnard, the only thing I can remember is in the summertime, they they got those strawberry stands.
Oh yeah, strawberry fields
and strawberry festivals. They like, you guys go hard on the you guys go hard for the strawberry.
Strawberries, full strawberry. Yeah, we got the strawberries right here. Yeah.
Nah, that's tight. So tell me this, what's your favorite hip hop movie?
Favorite hip hop movie? Oh man, that's kind of hard. But like, man, like, that's a tough one right there. There's so many good ones. I think the one I'm gonna pull up is Juice, because for me at the time when Juice came out, like, I was like a DJ. I was a young DJ in like high schoolish type era, and the whole, Q, like, you trip out on now, like in the hospital movies and everything too. But Q, he was the DJ in the battle, and that part for me, like we were into scratching and stuff and like battling and stuff like that as a kid growing up. So like I just love that movie, and then Tupac was in it, and like he did real good. So it's like I kind of like Juice. Like there's so many different ones, like Boys in the Hood and Menace and all these other ones. I mean, shout out to Master P with Bout It. That's one of my favorite ones too. I mean, but I think I'm gonna give it up for Juice though. That's probably gonna be my favorite one.
Nah, that's one we've never had. We
just because of the DJ thing,
Yeah, nah, we've never had that. I would say for me, it's crazy, dude. I didn't see Wild Style until like,
that's dope,
maybe 2000, and it's crazy. Brown, I got on a hard drive. You know what I'm saying? I literally had it on a hard drive. I didn't, and the thing about it is, I had interactions with Whipper Whip before, and I saw how people like bow down to him, and he was like this huge Zulu figure and whatever. But no disrespect, but he wasn't a slim, dapper Whipper Whip with the leaves and the whatever. He had a couple pounds on him like me. You know what I'm saying? So I didn't get the full understanding. Like, dude, he was like one of the first MCs to ever bust lyrics on film. You know what I'm saying?
Word.
Yeah. So no, that was dope. But I would have to say Beat Street for me, man.
Beat Street's dope too. I like Beat Street definitely over Breaking. I mean, I like Breaking too, but Beat Street definitely.
Gotta give Breaking was a comedy though, and that's what people like. That's the disconnect, because people are like, well, Breaking was cool and it had this that, but dude, Boogaloo Shrimp and Shabba-Doo, they were like really doing some dancing and comedy type shit. You know what I'm saying? And then we had a guest, I want to say last week, that brought up Disorderlies. And
the Fat Boys, man. That one, right? The Fat Boy, that's the first hip hop concert. If you were gonna ask me that, that's the first hip hop concert I ever went to. Fat Boys, man. And man, I still like the Fat Boys to today. Disorderlies was hilarious though. That one right there. Hilarious.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to watch it. The funny thing about it is, where I come from, you had you had people that wanted to be MCs, people that wanted to break dance, whatever. Yeah. But once again, the beatbox was something that, and the weird, the weird thing about hip hop, it brought talent out of people that you've grown up with since elementary.
Yes.
And not to say you felt they had no talent, but it really helped people come into their own. Like, I remember cats who were just like straight up like super duper nerds, dysfunctional people or whatever.
Yeah.
But as the wave of hip hop hit, you had cats that could hella break, hell of a spin on their head, windmill, just like all this stuff. And it was kind of like, damn, hip hop, it did this. Now, did you ever think hip hop was going to be as large as it is?
I don't think I looked at it like that at the time as a kid. I didn't see it going anywhere. I didn't think it would disappear. I know that people will say, oh, it's just a fad, but I didn't think it was a fad. I didn't know how long it was going to go, but it definitely didn't seem like it was going to be gone anytime soon at all. But being older now, and looking back and just seeing how much hip hop has changed, it's like back then I wouldn't have thought hip hop would be what it is today. You know, like it's because, you know, when I grew up, you know, rock music was kind of the thing, you know. And you know, like R&B and soul music was kind of put down, like in the mainstream, like rock was the thing, you know, and alternative music and stuff like that. And then when hip hop came around in the very beginning, you know, it kind of got clowned a little bit, you know, outfits look funny to people or whatever, you know, but it, if you look at it today, like it's like, and I don't know the numbers, you can go fact check
Yeah.
and all that, but like, you know, it's like the number one music. It's made way more than all those other genres it made way back in the day, as far as, you know, spins, dollars, everything like that. And it's so integrated into society today, even like schools teach with it. Like to see that and see all the different subgenres of hip hop is just, you know, even if I'm not listening to a bunch of them, it's just a beautiful thing is what I think, you know what I mean? Just
Nah,
looking.
definitely. You know, it's a trip because it's kind of like I think back on it, and like people really didn't put too much stock in hip hop, but hip hop entered like the marketing share and took over so much, dude. Like hip hop was in fast food. You had, you know, it was in the fast food. Hip hop was helping to sell, and it wasn't just like a straight dose of hip hop. They didn't integrate it into marketing like that. It would
Right.
just be like a cereal commercial or a fast food commercial, and you'd have a kid with a little bit of style to them, you know what I'm saying, or something like
Crazy.
that. And then I think the marketing companies just realized that, like, man, this is what the world is paying attention to. So we
Mm-hmm.
gotta, you know what I'm saying?
Wow.
We kind of gotta grab a hold of this and figure it out.
Right, right.
Cool. So tell me this. So
Yes, sir.
uh Juice is your favorite hip hop movie. So or one of your favorite hip
Yeah,
hop movies.
one of them, yeah.
So now, what was your soundtrack experience to your your middle school? Like, so what was the soundtrack? What were you listening to in middle school?
You know what? Low key, like, you know, high key, like I was bumping Two Life Crew, dude. Two Life Crew, dog. Two Life Crew. Hey, we want some. You know what I mean? I was bumping Two Life Crew. Hey, and also too, like right at the very beginning too, like Run DMC, you know, like LL Cool J. Um, those were like some of the artists we bumped real heavy right there. And but Two Live Crew, we were during that time too, like bass tapes, like so people were putting subs. That I still do it. I don't know if people are still doing it, but they put subs in the ride, you know, 12-inch subwoofers and stuff. And there was just like DJ Ron C, like people that were making bass tapes with different, so you could just bump, you know. So stuff like that, you know what I mean, is what I was bumping, you know. And then you had some of the classic stuff, like, you know, the Tone Locs and stuff came out, and you know, and that's pretty the Fat Boys, like I said too, that was another a big part of like my coming up, because I was always that chubby kid, and you seen the Fat Boys and they're talking about how fat they were,
They
and
made it cool.
I seen that all you can eat video where even the food from the back of the wall, they even ate the food that was on the wall in the video. Like it was so hilarious. And like being that little kid too, I was like, word, like, you know, it was incredible. And they're adults.
Nah,
So yeah.
no, that's dope. I want to give a shout out, man. We got one person in the chat that's showing some love. You know what I'm saying? DJ Uncle Phil from
Uncle
Camden.
Phil.
Yep,
Uh,
Camden Jazz Cafe. I spent
yeah.
I spent many nights in the Jazz Cafe while I was out there working, and when I wasn't
Yeah.
working. You know what I'm saying?
Good times.
Oh yeah, Jazz Cafe, always a stumble away from one of the hotels. You know what I'm saying?
Righteous, righteous.
Always. That's a, you know, Jazz Cafe was kind of like home base. Like, so if whether I was out there in Brown dealing with gorillas, or if it was, you know, a Pharcyde thing or whatever, it's
Right,
kind of
right.
like if I got out there a day before we had to work, it's like, okay, let's see what's popping at Jazz Cafe. You know what I'm saying? Go down and
Uh,
yeah, hang out there. Yeah, I miss the Jazz Cafe, man. I miss
Hey,
that.
I think that's how you came up here. Cause that's how you came up here. Cause I was working in a nightclub over at Nickelby's nightclub up here in Ventura, and I was working with you and Amani and Booty Brown to do a show with the Far Side up here. And I think that's the day you came up and you dropped off some of the promo stuff for that show. Yeah, and it was kind of like a little jazz club spot, but it's all hip hop. It was pretty dope.
Yeah, yeah, no, no, for sure. So if you had an elective that you could create for high school, what would it be? Like an
Elective for
elective
high school.
class.
Hmm. Um. You know what? And it's kind of hard to say if they have it for high school because high school is so much different. Like I just had my 30th high school reunion, so it's like I don't even know what high school's like today. But what I would have is some type of like entrepreneurial business related, like really, really simplified to
Yeah.
let kids know one, you need to, school obviously is telling you need to know how to do something, but to know how to manage your money better and to look at things in more in a business sense when it comes to whatever it is that you're doing as far as your career and your job. Just I know there's classes in college and all this, but simplified, that it would be great because, I think especially when you see artists go off and they start trying to become MCs and all this other stuff, there's the business part that they leave out of it. It would be good to see that. And then also, technology definitely is like what I'm about. I think that broadcasting is become like a really big thing for everybody throughout all these years, and it's changing. So I think, the world of broadcasting video and streaming video over the internet is definitely something that not only happens at college, but it should maybe happen at high school too. I think it would be really fresh.
Dude, it's crazy you say that. Like for me, I was just, man, I was blessed. It was like I've said it on the show before, but I basically had went to the mall and I don't know what made me do it, but I had a buddy who would go and he would breed rats and he'd sell them to he had snakes and he would sell them to the pet shop and they give him like $1 a piece for the little rat pups or whatever. And something made me buy hamsters, but I wasn't like, I didn't get them for the purpose of breeding. I was just like, man, I want a pet. So I kind of had them hid in my garage. And my parents didn't know that I had them. And that's so weird because I guess I cleaned up after them good because hamsters stink. You know what I'm saying? Like they the wood chips and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But man, let me tell you, when them hamsters, when I figured out you could make money off of them hamsters humping, I was turned out, man. I was like, what?
You were pimping out hamsters.
I was like, what? You can have two little animals, you throw them some food, you throw them some water, and then a hamster's gestation period was like 30 days. And so I was really like, whoop. So I went from the hamsters to the rabbits to dog, I went up the food chain.
You start having regular kids.
Oh man. Hey man, I've always been about it, man. Always. So
yeah.
When you were in your senior year of high school,
yep.
What did you think was going to happen when you graduated?
I already knew, well, for one, I needed to save up $350 so that they would allow me to actually walk the ceremony.
What?
Yeah, that's an even longer story. It was, but I had to pay for some of these electives that I went and did. So like the band and all this other stuff was supposed to be paid for, and my dad didn't want to pay it, so I had to come up with the money all last minute. As a kid, $350, that's like $1 million to a 17-year-old, So, but I knew that I was already going to be moving out on my 18th birthday. I knew like I was already working at a movie theater. I had already went in there and told them, hey, on my birthday at 12 a.m., like I'm gonna be out of the house. I need to have 40 hours a week. I want to work full time. I want the day shift, which is cool. And I already knew I was going to be sleeping on my brother's couch for a little bit before I could get my own place. Like I had already thought about it because my friends were on the streets. A bunch of them were doing the wrong thing, and I knew that I was almost low-key kind of scared that like it was so easy for me to get involved with some stuff like that I might get wrapped up too, you know. So I was like, no, I'm about to get out of that. You know, we're adults now. Like I can go and come as I please, you know. So that I already knew what my plan was, you know.
Dang.
Some real
Yeah,
spirit.
man. Yeah, you was right. But you know what though? Honestly, you were being groomed for success. You didn't know it. You probably didn't, you know what I'm saying? It probably wasn't anything that you connected with at the time, but that's definitely what it was. Like mine was when I was 21. You know what I'm saying? I had to,
Right.
but I did something to aid me getting put out the house at 21. I definitely put in some work to get put out the house and was wild as yeah, I was pretty wild with a couple endeavors and whatnot.
There you
But
go.
the trip about it though, being out of the house at 21 and renting a room and having that responsibility, even though it wasn't much, but like having that responsibility, that kind of shaped me because like even though I DJ, and so
Uh-huh.
even though I would like DJ a club or whatever, I always maintained the job and then I always had a hustle outside of DJing. You know what I'm saying? So it was kind of
Right,
like
right.
I never allowed, and I was talking to a friend today. It's crazy because like I mean, we talk, we chop it up, whatever. But when I'm on one, my hustle mode is like stuck on 8. Like I'm like right around 8. It'll bounce between 8 and 10, but it's pretty much like stuck. But when I was 18 years old, my mom's she said, you gonna fuck around and be homeless. But she wasn't talking about me getting kicked out the house. She was just talking about how just being young and dumb and bad decisions and just whatever. And
Right,
I
right.
attribute one of my heavy hustle muscles to, and I didn't think about it like till kind of today when I thought about that and I was having that conversation. But I definitely have a big enough net where I could get caught before I just was on a tent in a tent or something like that. But
Yeah.
the fear of being homeless, it kind of made me look at myself like, you know what, God hasn't blessed everybody with the level hustle that I have. And so because I got it, it would almost be blasphemy if I didn't like always push it. You know what I'm saying? And kind of
Right,
because
right.
the thing about it is, it's like with you, and this is a cool segue because we're gonna get into the other part of what you do other than hip hop. But
Okay.
it's like with you, the hip hop is cool, but you're just inclined to technology in a different way that most people are. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, when you were telling me like what your other situation is, like you might have thought I was just listening, but I was like, okay, you need to ask him this question, that question. Like I'm over here saying, okay, this is gonna be the phone call for tomorrow where I'm gonna see how he could, kind of put me up on game.
Uh-huh.
But with all that being said, how did you get into technology, and then how do you balance the technology part with the hip hop?
Let's see, how did I get into it? Um, I think the way I got into it was let me see, like so when computers first came out and they were available to people at home, I got into them when I was in middle school pretty much. This kid had video games on the Commodore computer, and
64.
yeah, the 64, and we went to the swap meet, and we found one. It was the 128, the white one, but it was basically the same. It didn't it didn't do anything different. But like just like working with that kid, learning that whoa, we could actually copy these games, like copy discs, and play video games and share them, and then so that's kind of when I got into it. But like when I really started getting into it was when Photoshop came out. I started, I was doing graphics. I do, me and a few of our friends, like we were just fascinated how we could cut ourselves out of a picture and put ourselves in another state or another country or on the moon or something like that. So
Dude,
you know,
not to cut you off real quick.
yeah.
I had this web designer slash graphic designer, and he's probably about 20 years older than me, easy. You know what I'm saying? 15, but I say he's pushing 20. Dude, he started before Photoshop was called Photoshop.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was definitely called something else before it was
Yeah.
called Photoshop.
Yeah, there was a few like that, but that's what we were doing there. And like I said, I was working at a movie theater, and I was like a manager there. And that that's a dead end job. Like you're not gonna ever be able to get. You see the other people working there, and you don't want to be there. So at the time, I was this projectionist cat. Um, he was like kind of like a father figure to me because I just ended up working a lot. And people complain on their job about how they don't like their job or whatnot. But he's like, well, what you want to do? And I was like, hey, well, I want to do graphics. And he was like, well, you should, get into classes for graphics so you can get a job doing that. And I had a friend that had graduated before me and went off to he was working in the UK doing graphics. And I was talking to him, and he was like, it's really hard if you get in working for a big company and you'll have enough work, you have a job to pay yourself, but it's really hard. And I always thought about that. But like one day I was at the movie theater after that, and this guy came in because our computer had died. And he was in there just for a little while, like, and he was up out less than an hour, and he left. And as a manager, I get to see the bill that he left. And I was like, what? Like, I worked 3 days for this, And I was like, hey, at that point, I was like, I have to figure out what he did right there. So, during that time, I had got my first computer. I, like, it was like a 1 gigabyte hard drive, if you know what I mean. You know what I mean? Like, that's like 6 pictures these days,
Yeah.
So, like, I had filled up the hard drive doing these little graphics. And so I was like, oh, I don't need these files in the Windows folder. I don't need this, that, and the other. I deleted all kinds of stuff and wrecked the computer. I didn't want to boot again. You know what I mean? So I took it back to it. And this computer I bought too was like $3,500 on like a credit card with a printer though, with a printer. And like I took it back and I was like, hey, what's up with this computer? I was like flashing on him and everything. He's like, well, they patiently explained to me how I deleted stuff that the computer needed. And then they charged me again. And I was like, I need to know how to do this because that's how I am. Like, I need to know how to do this because if I wreck it again, I can't. And at that time, I was living off like $60 a month or something after my bills were paid. So I can't go back there and be paying extra money like that. So I don't know. It was just something like that. And that's, I think, when I got into the whole how to fix and build computers.
Nah, that's dope. Yeah, no, we're gonna get into some more stuff, but I had to kind of squeeze the technique because I would say your duality is hip hop and technology. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
For those that don't know, they might just know you as like a advocate. That's the best way I can call it, like an advocate for hip hop, because you are like the bridge,
right.
everything from the underground artists to the artists that that's up there. So, when you were coming up in Oxnard or Oxnard or Ventura?
Ventura, Oxnard, they are different cities, but yeah, I get around.
The area, you know what I'm saying? That
we call it the 805.
805. Okay, the
area
805
between LA and the Bay. That's the whole thing. Yeah.
So I'm gonna tell you somebody I met from the 805. Dope. I'll call him a musician. And he don't get the props though, man. That's just kind of like the heart. But he's a cool dude though. But oh no, Madlin's brother.
Oh no. Oh no, he's a legend. Like he does, like around here at least. That fool's a legend, and I mean, and like if anyone's ever had the opportunity to kick him, he's kind of recluse though, like he's busy in the lab making beats, like he's real musical, but like he's a real cool cat. And you talk about technology.
Oh wow.
Brother, oh no, oh my God. He's in video games, like he's invited out to video game things, like he has, like he was one of the first persons I ever seen have a 3D printer that printed wood, all kinds of stuff like that. Yeah.
Okay.
Wild. He's the guy.
Yeah, I met him when he was younger. I met him when he was like the younger cat. Opio put me on to him like years ago. Ope put me on, and I was like, okay, this dude is. But he had beat though, like back, and I was just kind of like, damn. But I wasn't even really like Madlib was doing his thing, and I knew they were brothers, but I wasn't really tripping on Mad like this. That's how long ago it was. Like I'll say like late 90s type of thing, like very early 2000s type of type of situation.
Yeah, he's
So
dope, bro. He's dope.
so other than Ono, who are some of the people out of the 805 that people might be able to?
Well, like right now, so one of our most iconic cats, out of here is Madlib, the producer Madlib from the Loot Pack.
Yeah,
Him, DJ Rome's, and Wild Child.
yeah.
But I think like on a big level today, you probably heard of this cat Anderson Paak. You
Oh
know
yeah.
that cat. He's from Oxnard. You know what I mean? And that's probably one of the biggest hip hop artists we have out of the area right now.
See, that's one of the biggest artists out of LA. I mean, out of California.
He's huge, yeah, you know what I mean? So he's huge. And then we got some up and coming cats. We got a cat named Mark Ford out here. We got a producer out here that goes by the name of Body Bag Ben that just produced Cannabis's last album, and he's been making beats with Chino XL. Chino XL's out here. He's an 805er, you know what I mean? So there's a bunch of artists out here that have been doing their thing that are definitely super talented, man. Check them out,
So at some point you DJ'd, and not for me to be ignorant, but you had to unblur your screen to just let me know that you were a DJ.
Oh,
You know.
oh yeah.
You were a DJ.
Yeah. Oh, you hear me? Yeah.
Nah.
You need me on blur? Yeah. I still rock. You know what I mean? I still rock. I got the little consoles too. We got those too. You know what I mean? But yeah, I still rock. Like for me, it's it's kind of almost like back in the day when there was parties and stuff like that. People would they would always have a DJ at the party, and that's kind of where I come from that era. Today, like I had kind of got out of doing like more of the mobile DJing and stuff like that, and kind of switched over to doing it at the radio station. And I'm the producer, I'm the everybody. I run the board, I run everything. So it's like I got more into that, and I also believe that like certain places, you need certain things. So like if I was going to like a hardcore hip hop show, I wouldn't come rock with this. You know what I mean? I don't know if you can see it, but I wouldn't come rock with that because that's blasphemous. Like in the real,
you gotta come with the 12s.
You gotta come with some turns. You know what I mean?
Real quick, Dtragic.
Yeah.
I want to give a shout out to DJ Uncle Phil and then Mega 155. They holding the chat down. You know what I'm saying? They interact and they ride with us, man. So I just gotta show them a little love, man, for having the patience and interacting and being part of the situation. But go ahead.
Yeah, it's just that there's a time and place for everything, just like church clothes. You know what I mean? Like, so if you're going to some hip hop stuff, man, boom. But sometimes as a DJ, I'm up in the club. I used to play for clubs, and we used to be in Hollywood. Shout out to Madface getting me gigs with The Truth playing at Venice. So sometimes you're up there and you're busting a serious mix, like you're surprising yourself sometimes, and you look up and nobody cares. Nobody cares that you're mixing and putting all that energy into it, and you're just like, huh? Like so I think there's a time and place for everything, and the bottom line is you got to get the job done,
Yeah, I've had those moments where I was like, man, I was killing it, but I was killing it for myself. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, okay, all right, cool. So, how do you think the art of DJing has evolved from like when you were in high school, fresh out of high school, to right now?
It's been taken to the complete next level with the invention of like Final Scratch, which came out first, all the way to Serato right now. The digital DJing combined with the computer, like it's just elevated the DJ game further than I ever thought it would go. And to see it adopted by some of the most hardcore DJs that we have on this earth, and to see how they've been able to expand their skills, it's just sick. I love it.
For me, I feel like probably one of the dopest DJs that I witnessed in person that kind of had me in awe was like Cuba. Like I remember cats like that. And I remember like looking at them and just really just like
Sick.
You know, pre-Serato, pre all that, just
Right.
and I remember at one point, like, I forget who he was affiliated with that, or it could have been just him doing shows that had him the bread, but I knew he was staying in Hawaii, and I was just like, damn, DJing can do that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like,
Baseball scratch pickles. Yeah, that was his career right there.
yeah, like man, but I'll say the gift and the curse. Like, I talk to people, and I might have mentioned either the last episode or the episode before, like Nick Cannon got put on because he used to carry Biz Marquis's records, not the young Biz Marquis, but like as you know, older in years, you know what I'm saying? Where these DJs now, dude, they don't know about what it feels like to have your back feel crazy, or like, dude.
Yeah.
I remember, dang, what was Homeboy's name? He was a promoter. Shit. Dtragic.
Okay.
I remember, so I used to DJ at this club called Guadalinda's on Tuesdays. Like, man, I probably did about like 5 years, me and DJ Das.
Oh, dope.
And I remember Dtragic mentioning to me, he's like, dude, you probably don't remember me, but I used to carry, you know, I was too young to get into the club, but I would carry Daz's records, you know, into the club to get, you know, get in there. And I was like, damn, you know what I'm saying? These new cats, like, man, and not to say like they're not talented or they're not working or whatever. Yeah. Like, dude, the real, like, having to, and then the thing about it is, when you had records in crates, like me, I wasn't a collector, dude. So like my records, if you went into my room, it was just dusty records, like it was, you know,
just all over records
everywhere. So you had to buy records over and over and over again because they would only last for so much. For like now, dude, you could literally meet somebody and say, "Oh man,
swap flash drives and hard drives.
Give me a hard drive." And then you got a cat that, dude, yesterday he was nothing. He still can't blend, but yesterday he was nothing.
All the jams.
Today he got cuts. But I'll say one of the most powerful things a DJ could do, I'll say, as I'll take it back to like the early 90s. Drop something that nobody had, or drop the new cut. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like for me, I remember, oh man, and this is when I got done dirty. So Kadada, Quincy Jones's daughter, was best friends with this guy that I used to know back in the day, and they used to throw parties at their house. And so like dude, this was probably like 92, 93. Like I remember seeing Kadada come into the party, and she had a case of Cristal, and like but you know, she's Quincy Jones's daughter, but still the impact of that really didn't kick in until later. Like, man, she really just, you know, over $1,000 worth of, you know, la-di-da, you know what I'm saying, handing out bottles. But I had the DOS Effects microphone checker Pete Rock remix. Had 2 copies. It was other DJs spinning. I wasn't even tripping. I was just chilling in the cut. I was waiting till it was my turn. So I get there. I drop it. Boom, boom, boom. Yeah. Bam. Everybody's like, damn, he got the microphone checker remix. Woo, woo. So I spin for about 10 minutes, put my records up. I'm feeling like a superstar. I'm like, okay, I'm going to get a drink, go and grab some food. Came back. They was gone. I was like,
you can't be leaving your stuff behind, you know.
Lesson learned as a young DJ, man. It's a cold world. Well, it was
leaving your stuff behind, you know, like, because, you know, I seen a DJ, and he wasn't a nice DJ either, too, but I seen him lose like pretty much his whole collection. And when you said, you know, the youngsters with the DJs, how they could just swap drives and stuff like that, we had to buy, like, unless, you know, later in the game, until I started working in a club or something like that, I get serviced, you know. I had to go buy each of those records, and you know, a single was like $9, and a whole album was like $17, you know. So, and then, so if you look back and you go rock a party, like, I mean, I need like 6 or 7 crates at least, like, because like we need to have all the cuts, like, so we had to go buy that stuff. And where today they'd be downloading it for free off of YouTube, you know what I mean, stuff like that. It's crazy.
Okay, I got a good question for you.
Yep.
So there's a group, dang, what's his I think Danny's band is called Rebirth, but there was a keyboard player that played keys for the Pharcyde in the late 90s, early 2000s. And like, he was just like a purist when it came to all things funk, all things jazz, all things soul. He was in the Breakestra too. Like he's he's that dude. Like he's very
big up,
elite piano keyboard player. And I remember when MP3s started coming out, he had this thing where he was like, man, MP3s, the way they sound, they suck. But see,
it's legit.
Him being an elite musician, he had an ear that was totally different than mine. Like me, as long as you got some bumps in it and you have some highs and little low, little highs, little lows, some bump in it, that's cool enough to me, whatever. So with you, can you really tell the difference between MP3s and wax now, or is it really in the mix for the most part? Because you just have some mixes that are dope and some mixes that are whack.
I think it depends on, like, to me, like I said, hey, get the job done. So like it depends on where you're listening to it. Okay. Where you're listening to it. So like if you're listening to it on the radio, I don't think that you're going to hear the difference because the radio isn't being broadcasted at that high of a quality. So, but if you go take, like, think about it now, you go take an MP3 that's like 128K. I don't know if you think about 128 up to 320 or whatever, but you take one that's a really low, just because it's an MP3 doesn't mean it's a high quality. You can control what quality MP3 you have. You take a low quality MP3 and you try to bang it on a sound system in a club or a concert spot, it's going to sound horrible. It's not going to sound the same as it does if you're listening to it off basic non-studio headphones, non-studio monitor headphones. So it just depends on where you're listening to it, if it's going to work or not. But your audio file has studio monitor speakers and high fidelity stuff, and you can tell the difference. You can tell the difference.
And that's so crazy because I had a buddy who, when he would mix songs, he didn't actually mix. He was a producer, but what he would do is when it came down to them mixing the song, he would use reference songs. You know what I'm saying? And like, dude, God has blessed me so much by being around, like really being in the space of creative people. You know what I'm saying? To see what they do, like from, watching the Dilla work on Lab Cabin, just really being a fly on the wall, just able to just kind of like, and not even on no fandom. Well, it probably was fandom, but he wasn't a star though. So it wasn't like, I know this guy is whoop whoop whoop. It's just like, oh shit, he's a very talented cat, and I can just go and just peep. But it's crazy because it's like nowadays, everybody's making music on their computers, and some people aren't even tripping off of the mix like that, man. It's like, dude, they will do it and upload it, and it's just off and running. And it's amazing to me how people gravitate to it. But another story that I've told a million times during the podcast is with the newer music. I had a really hard time connecting with even like the popular cats, like the what's homeboy's name? Puffy face, tattoos, white guy, puffy face, tattoos, looks like he drink. Post Malone. I had a hard time connecting with Post Malone, but I hadn't heard his music. But it was just more or less me just looking at him and being like, dude, why is this dude super drunk, smoking squares, stepping on? I guess it was hatred. Super drunk, smoking squares, stepping off of private airplanes, woo woo.
Yeah.
And so I was feeling a certain way about it until I think I was in Seattle and I turned on the popular radio station. And then somehow his name came up, And then it was like they played 3 of his songs and I'm like, oh, that's why he can step off a plane, puppy face drunk, private plane, whatever. There is some talent to what he does. But one of my homeboys told me, like, one of the reasons I had a disconnect with the newer music was because I was I wanted to weigh it against like 1988, Eric B, Rakim. You have the beat, you have the lyrics, you have the chorus, you have all this stuff, where like the contemporary music, you may be lucky enough to just get one of them. You know what I'm saying? You have a dope beat, you have a dope chorus, you'll have dope rhymes. But I'll say one of the most impressive younger cats that I've seen is like, man, everybody's on him, but I'll say Kendrick Lamar, like he's really dope, dude. Like, and I mean, not that I got to tell you, but like,
sure.
Because what it is, and see, this is something that Dr. Dre don't get enough credit for, dude. And I'm not saying that Dr. Dre taught Kendrick the world, but dude, Dr. Dre gets battle rappers and teaches them to structure songs. And so they're battle rappers that can write. So it's almost like taking a wild horse and then breaking that wild horse to be like the dopest riding horse. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
The horse is beautiful. It's beautiful, but if you get on it, it's gonna buck, and it's just, who would even want to fool with it? But Dr. Dre, he got this formula, dude. Like, if you listen to 50 Cent's old songs, like when he was making the mixtapes, the star quality was there, but it wasn't like my ear. Like right now, I couldn't listen to that. You know what I'm saying? Like it will be sensory overload, for my ears. But Dre, like, man, he could teach him like song structure, hooks, bars, and all that stuff.
Right.
And when you got that, it's almost like there's no competition.
Yeah, it's good to know the business. And when you know that you know somebody that really knows the business, you're going to be more apt to believe. And when you see them doing it, you're going to be more apt to believe them. And at that point too, he pretty much showed everybody that he had the formula to what people liked, and they still like, so like,
figuratively and literally,
you know what I mean? So it's like you get in his presence and, you're almost like, okay, like, forget what my friend said. I'm going to do this now because you're ready to go, really.
So what's the best advice anybody's ever given you?
Shout out to my boy Demiza. You know what I mean? That cat right there. Hella cool cat.
Old school DJ Demiza?
Demiza, yeah.
Mariah Carey remix back in the day, Demiza?
I mean, you know what I'm saying? He ran Power 106, Demiza, the one that introduced Eminem out to California and Los Angeles. He just said, you know what I mean? And it's something that, me doing my show, my radio show, and being able to, take a part of all the cool opportunities that come out as a part of doing it. It's just stay persistent, stay persistent. And that's just very simple as that, and whatever you do, if it's something that you really want to do and you're failing at it, just stay persistent, keep learning, and work at it if it's something that you really want to do. So that's probably like the biggest thing. Don't worry about discouragement as much. It sucks. You get a lot of no's, or maybe not everybody's feeling you the way that you want to be felt. Just stay persistent and do what you want to do. And, things work out that way. So, with what I do, having to deal with, I play a lot of independent, brand new up and coming artists before people really know about them. And you got cats like, I'll be talking about legendary producers like Madlib, and I'll be talking about them. People are trying to clown the names of all these rappers and stuff like that. And it's discouraging. It's like, what are you doing? You're wasting your time type of deal. But, like for those artists out there that are writing, for the producers out there that are making beats that sound new, that don't sound like everybody else's stuff, man, just stay persistent. That's the main thing. Hard work pays off. It does.
It's interesting because so like before the Pharcyde got their deal, when they were like getting their demo together, like everybody was broke. And you know, I went to high school, one of the guys, but then for whatever reason, me and Brown just kind of clicked on like a business thing, or just what we clicked in a whole nother way. But one of the most, and I didn't understand at the time, I'll say one of the largest displays of maybe like self-confidence. I don't know. I think self-confidence could be the word, but like Brown had given up like everything to be an MC, like literally like he was sleeping in a closet. He was like, dude, he would go to so I always kept a job and I hustled.
Yeah, me too.
So that was me. Like I never was all in to anything, but dude, he would have sometimes like $1 a day, and his choice was like either a taco or an AMPM burger. And that's what it was. But the thing about it though, not just that being shocking to say it or for somebody to hear it, but when you have that type of like investment in yourself, not saying like that's gonna make you pop off in some kind of a way or blow up, but it's kind of like you put yourself in a position.
You're gonna take the test. You're gonna put yourself right in the middle of the test, and you're gonna find out really quickly if you're ready for this. You know what I mean? And it's the same thing like being self-employed. You know what I mean? Like I tell people, I go, you know, like you got a job where there's just millions of hours that are waiting for you versus like you having to go out there and find every single hour. You know, so it's not for everybody. You know, so when you go all in. And honestly, like for a person to really do that too, like to go all in, that takes a lot because, like a lot of these artists that are trying to act like they're all hot, they don't really, I don't think they really believe in themselves,
Spoiled. Like, dude, I've managed like several people. And so what I tell people, like, when they come to me and they like, so someone from the outside, they'll see the cool aspect. Oh, you're associated with this artist or blah, 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 blah. And I tell people, yo, check this out. If you're not willing to sacrifice what's yours in order to put a little extra on an artist to get them to the point of where that can kind of help take care of both you guys, you're not meant to manage. It's not about having a cool title or handing out a business card or whatever. And then at the same time, the kind of the kind of artist that someone will want to manage is someone that looks at a manager like, you know what, I'm going to do whatever it takes to give them the ball so they can run it. You know what I'm saying? So because I've also managed people where, because I stepped in and I may have come in financially or just trying to do, this, that, and the third, the artist goes slower. They get comfortable. They're like, oh, we got this, he's going to, because if I believe in an artist or whatever, I don't even look at the bank account. Like that's not even part of the equation. The equation is let's get them from point A to point B. And, you bet. And for me, I'll say a couple times I knew I was betting on the wrong pony. But through experience, dude, I pretty much know how, dude, I can call the dice before they start rolling. Like I know
you can like see it. You can see when they really believe in themselves versus when they want you to put up all your money.
Oh man. And it's so crazy because I look at like in the early 90s, they were giving, I was talking to somebody yesterday about that. The early 90s, dude, they was giving record deals like, dude, $300,000, $400,000, $250 on a horrible day. You could get these records, dude. They was just giving them away, dude. Like super experimental type situations of just whatever. And like now, you have to prove so much to somebody, and then speaking to your point on the technology level, dude, technology and broadcasting and whatnot has become so integral into all of this that record labels have podcast departments now. So it's not just about it's not just about your social media and how popping you are with that or whatever. They want rights to podcasts and, you know, like
everything that they can do.
Yeah, every aspect.
And you know, in ways I don't blame record labels, you know, like, because you look at it, and I don't know if there's a such thing as the fair deal, but you look at them, and what are they doing? They're putting up their money for you, you know, and they're taking the risk in you, you know, and of course they're going to be making their money and your money back, you know, but
that's a fact.
But you know, you look at artists like Tech9, Strange Music, that where they've not only taken their own money and invested it back into their company. I mean, they're reaping the rewards there, but it's like for other people, they need to realize that, you know, hey, these other people are there helping you, putting up their money, taking the risk in you to do it. So I don't know. Sometimes with the deals, you know. So
nah, that's tight. That's tight. So with all that being said, what's your most memorable hip hop experience?
Memorable hip hop experience, man. I mean, I've had so many experiences, bro. Like, it's kind of hard to say. I mean, like, I'm thinking like I told you a little bit earlier about my first concert I went to, my Fat Boys concert. Like that right there.
Don't be jaded, man. I know you've been around. I've been around a lot of hip hop too. I've been around a little bit of popular music too. But you had to have a moment, a night.
You know, I think you know, like me doing the show, like I had Chuck D from Public Enemy on my show.
Okay.
And not only was he like a dope MC that I grew up listening to, and just like a powerful figure in hip hop that was crazy like that, but when I had him on the show, how I was able to talk to him, how he was so much different than all the other artists that I deal with. Like, I mean, he was like almost like a minister, dog. Like I was telling, like, you know, like a minister, like just like a real cat. Like when he speaks, it's like a different experience. So like that was really exciting for me, you know what I mean? Like one of those. And you know, and I don't know, there's so many different like times, you know, even the Pharcyde show, I still think about that. That was a big show for me back in the day. You know, I just have you heard of D Smoke from out of Inglewood?
Yeah,
D Smoke from out of Inglewood, man. And you know, you look at artists like him, you look at artists like K Dot, Kendrick Lamar, you look at, you know, Anderson .Paak. These are all artists that they, you know, I was playing their music before they were huge like they are, you know. So like just seeing artists like that being able to really make their way through hip hop where the majority of people aren't able to make it through, like those are some of my memories right there, you know. So
and I'm gonna say something notable about what you just said. So you're in the 805. So yep. the thing that people might not be catching, you know, with the dialogue that we're having right now. You said the K Dots, you said the, you know, the D Smokes, you know what I'm saying? All these guys, the Chuck D's. Yeah. 805 isn't the largest market in California.
You know, it's the area in the Bay.
But the thing about it is, these artists that you're talking about, they understood that you don't judge like you don't judge like a big market in a, like they're all markets. And so you're gonna like every time you get a chance. And to your point with Chuck D, you know, man, I had dinner with Chuck D in London years, like, man, this was probably like maybe my second trip to Europe, man, probably like 97, maybe 97, maybe 98. And what he said was he just felt blessed to have gone through passports. Oh, yeah. And I, you know, I hadn't even gone through my first passport. I may have just had, you know, a couple stamps in the passport at the time. Yeah. But he was very grateful for that. And, you know, when you talk to Chuck D, it's almost like you're talking to an older brother.
Yeah.
You know, he's a very passionate cat, and he has a lot of gratitude for hip hop, and you get that from him when you talk to, because you know, like, and even like Dave from Daylight, he said something to me that was the realest thing, but it was the realest thing. But then I could also look at it a different way. But looking back at it, he's like, dude, hip hop is an easy gig. You know what I'm saying? You know, compared to like you telling, you know, you speaking earlier about your hustle.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, man, you know, I was made to eat what I kill. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm just built that way. And a lot of people, you know, they can't deal with the stress, where like for me, I would rather have the stress of having to kill what I eat than to work somewhere for somebody and have the fear of getting fired or laid off or just all that kind of stuff. Like, dude,
Yeah,
let me tell you something. If I worked a regular job, I probably drink, smoke squares, and mistreat my dogs, man. You know,
no.
I probably would. And that's why I do what I do, man. You know what I'm saying? I do what I do. The dogs are happy.
Yeah.
I can't even come in the house without messing with the dogs, man. I got to go back and show them some love. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to come in the house and eat a cool meal, sip on a cool drink, you know what I'm saying, without throwing some kibble to the hounds, you know what I'm saying? But nah, but we definitely blessed, man. So if there was to be a Dtragic biopic, who would you have play you?
I don't even know. I mean, I wouldn't be able to tell you that. I probably since people say I don't know why either, but I probably have to have Timberland play that. You know,
that's right.
I don't know. I don't know. You know, like I guess it wouldn't really matter as long as they really conveyed who I am the way that I really am. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and you know, I've definitely been educated during this conversation, because like I said, when I met you, you know, I was coming up, dropping off some t-shirts, picking up a check real quick, about to bounce, you know, back down to LA.
Yeah.
And you know, you were introduced to me as Dtragic, and I could understand that you were a thing, but I didn't know what. like I didn't, but it was like I said, not an intern or nothing like that, but I knew it was something.
Right.
And then it was crazy, because later I'm like, oh, dude, this dude's kind of like a hip hop historian. He's definitely a representative of the 805 and whatnot. And you know what? I'm gonna bring up this other conversation that we had. And shout out to Wild Child. And
yeah, for sure.
I believe his son is an actor and was doing some Disney stuff.
Yeah,
all that
Miles right there from Blackish. Miles from the kid from Blackish, man. That guy right there.
Yeah. But who I was talking to you about was so I got sick in January. It wasn't COVID, but I just had a nasty flu, and I ordered Disney. And so I was like, man, I was a Star Wars fan, but I wasn't a Star Wars fanatic. So I started watching, and you know me, I'm kind of like a nerd where like I'll IMDb anything to just see like who's playing what.
Yeah.
And your home girl,
Leilani.
Yep, Leilani.
And dude, that's so dope.
I met her through Maceo. Because she was doing some type of, I don't know if she was a publicist or working radio or songs.
Yeah, she works radio.
Yeah, so she's
for artists. Yeah.
Yeah, so she's working radio, but Maceo introduced me to her years ago. And you know, she's not as tall as most people. You know what I'm saying? She's
right.
Yeah, she's not tall. And so when I was going through the IMDb and I was looking at I want to say Mandalorian. Yep, Mandalorian. Yeah. And man,
that's dope.
She wasn't an Ewok, but she was one of those. She was one of the Star Wars things, and I was like, I think I called you. I like, dude, it blew me back so much, and I was just
dope.
I was like, damn, you can never call it. Like, you don't know who or what somebody's gonna do or where they're gonna get their thing. And then when I went through her IMDb and I was seeing it, you know, she's done a couple little things and whatnot. And I was like, man, that's dope how like you can be a part of hip hop. And she's very hip hop, you know.
For sure.
Like very. And it's dope how you can have like this life of hip hop, but then you can also excel to other arts and other things like you know, you're hella hip hop. But dude, we were having a conversation. You're talking about, you know, doing server management and all this kind of other stuff. And I'm like, that's pretty grown up. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, look, so I tell like artists, especially artists that I'm working with, you know, look at like, you have to do something in life. I go, so before you're that artist or you're the guy or whatever, like you gotta, everything costs, you know, it costs for your studio time, it costs for the 40s, it costs for all the drinks and all sorts of stuff you want to have. Like, where are you getting the money? So, you know, I always encourage you to do the right thing and have a job, you know, to help you pay to get the studio time. But in the end, you have to do something, you know what I mean? Like, because, you know, 99% of the time people aren't making the money that they're talking about in their songs, you know? So it's, you know, having a job to be able to put yourself in a position to where you can record, you can travel, you can go out and network, you can get a beat from someone dope, like, oh no, you know, stuff like that. It's like, I've always had a job, and, you know, like, and it's like, you got to weigh it too, as well. It's like, you know, until, if you want to be responsible and pay your bills and not lose, you know what I mean? It's like, you got to work.
You know what? I've told some artists that I've managed, I've been like, dude, you need to get a job. But they already thought they was there. Like they could just like, you know, so whatever. I'm like, dude, you need to get a job. And the reason you need to get a job is you need to be because see, like, I think you and I are similar to where we're like self-motivated, independent thinkers. Like we don't need anybody to kickstart us in the morning or to tell us to not stay out too late or to get up earlier or just whatever. Like it's just naturally part of our thing. But I think like the structure of a job is good for some people because it'll make them be somewhere that they don't want to be. And maybe they'll come up with that hit song because they don't want to be where they're at. And they're just like, man, I gotta do something to change, you know, the situation.
Right. Yeah, there's never telling. You never know. And there's no secret formula, but, you know, like usually you don't see homeless people, you know, getting signed from seeing it at that burning trash can in the snow, you know, like that doesn't happen anymore. So it's like, you know, I don't have to be someone's dad, you know, to tell you, go get a job, you know, like you got to do something. Like, I'm not going to tell you go out and sell dope, but like those people are doing something, you know, do the right thing, go get a job, or better yet, like when it comes to music, you know, artists putting it, you know, making an album or a project, like, please try to approach it like a business, you know, see it like a business, you know, and go out and get a loan or something, you know, approach it like a business so that, you know, you can make your money back and you don't just see it as like some little hobby thing, because it's like a business.
I got one little correction to what you said.
What's that?
Everybody don't need to go out and get a loan. Get a loan if you have it in your mind of how you're going to pay this loan back.
You gotta be responsible.
Even if the music don't pan out, because some people, I had an artist that I was messing with, and somebody wanted to give him $5,000. Dude, I had a homeboy that wanted to give this dude $30,000. I was like, dude, come on, man, knock it off. I said, but the homeboy that could do it, he really could do it. I said, hey, man, he not making it go nowhere with what I'm putting behind him, and I'm putting a little something behind him. And so, but because the thing about it is, some people, they'll have the talent, but they don't have the drive. You know what I'm saying? And then maturity has a lot to do with it too. Like, you know, say for instance, with me, I was blessed to be around like musicians that were really going for it. You know what I'm saying? Like there was no second option. Like they were gonna be musicians or you know what? I'll even change that. They were gonna be entertainers. Even if it wasn't through music, it may have been through dance. If it wasn't through dance, it may have been through singing or an attempt at acting or whatever. But
it could have been through that voicemail that they left on your phone. Like some people are like that. It sounds like, whoa, even
dude,
you know?
Dude, and that's the kind of stuff that motivated me. Like for me, I always invested myself in stuff, but I invested myself with a safety net. You know what I'm saying? I always had like that little safety net. But to watch people invest themselves and not have a safety net, Some people don't. I mean, dude,
shouldn't be doing that.
Every fish is not going to survive in the ocean, but some of them little sharks that used to swim up and down the little sea line, they big 10-foot sharks
now
out there in the water. They made the cut. You know what I'm saying?
But if you approach it like a business, that means like, you put together a plan, and your plan right there before you even start should actually make sense, and then so if you go responsibly, I'm saying it is because it's better for you to take that money out and challenge yourself on paying it back versus trying to ask everybody else to have them put up their money for you, trying to con them into get you using your money, to give it to them if they're not willing to work for it. You know what I mean? So put it on yourself. Like when you put it on yourself and it's all you on the line, you're going to be tested. You're going to either work your hardest or you're going to fail, so.
The craziest thing though, it's like, some people just don't have that hustle muscle though, man. They just like do it. It just, man, they just don't. So, with that being said, you being hell of a hip hop, hell of a tech dude, and I want to give a shout out to Michael James Blue too. He hopped in the chat. You know what I'm saying? Him and DJ Uncle Phil been holding it down. You know what I'm saying? So I'll give them their props. But what is your ultimate goal?
Well, my ultimate goal is there's two different sides of it. Obviously, we've been talking about the career side. My goal right now is to expand my current business into managed service provider. So it's kind of a dorky thing, but to build on my computer company. Dorky. Yeah, super dorky. I mean, it's like
that ain't dorky, man. That's grown up, man.
For all intents and purposes, is to expand on my business that I have, to be able to take on a couple more industries that I'm not currently in, just to kind of make the knowledge of what I do even larger, for the different industries. And then for music, ultimately it's like, I feel that like what I do in my community, every community needs somebody like that that's doing it for their community. So, one of my goals is with what I'm doing right now, Word on the Streets Radio, 805 Hip Hop, is, like when I can't do it anymore, I want our area to continue doing it, to be supportive, like in the way that I've been doing it, and that's kind of the stuff that I like my forward goal, and it's not too far away, it's
you gotta take somebody under your wing, man. You gotta figure it out, man. I know you don't want to give all the ancient secrets and all this, that, and the third, but you're definitely an ambassador though. Like I said, I met you, and when I met you, it was like one thing, and then I just saw you move in different spaces, and it's just kind of like, oh,
yeah, I have to do that because like this is like my community service to my area, but like my goal, with music stuff too as well, is to get people from here out of here. You know what I mean? Like, there's one thing about like, doing your thing here and, impressing your friends or whatever like that some people want to do. But a lot of these are artists. They want the whole world to hear their music. I have certain skills, and whether it comes to networking or whether it comes to promotional stuff or DJing, whatever. And, I just want to use my lane to be able to help those artists, especially in my community or even, abroad, to be able to get out of their communities and just expand on their work. That's really what I want to do when it comes to it,
So now we winding the interview down. I'm going to get to a real one.
All right.
So if you could have your dream verses, dead or alive, who would you like to see?
You see dream?
Like Triller, like Dream verses, the verses,
yeah.
And Timberland.
Who would I have? Have to think about this here. Like as a DJ, there's so many artists. Like we're never, like we say, friends and family as a DJs aren't allowed to participate in these contests. Like they're so hard. Like You know, when I see verses, I think about artists that, you know, they had to have been, you know, someone that's prominent that people would know of and everything. Shoot, it's tough. You know, I really want to see Rakim. I want to see Rakim in a versus. Who he goes, like maybe Rakim or Nas or something like that. It's kind of hard to say. Like KRS-One, I wanted to see him. And that was one I really wanted to see. I think he did good, but I was kind of disappointed.
That was a slice of phony baloney. It was camaraderie. It was a show. It was an exhibition. That's what that was. They were sparring with each other. It wasn't like
But he was performing for the crowd too much too. I wasn't there. You know what I mean? But I don't know. You know, it's tough. You know, there's so many artists out there today. But you know, I'd like to maybe see a couple prominent females you know, rock against each other too, play something like MC Light or something like that, and up against somebody else, you know. It's kind of hard to say.
Nah, that's dope. That's dope. I'll say this. Speaking on technology and you know, Twitch just and just like all the things that entertained us while we went through the pandemic and whatnot.
Right.
I'll tell you the single most MC that I slept on, and he became, I'm not going to say the pandemic made him impactful, but I'll say that I was just introduced to him to that capacity during the pandemic. Dude, Jadakiss, man. I didn't know he was the ghostwriter. I didn't know he did all this kind of, you know, and the craziest thing, my homeboy Killer Touch DJ for him forever. I've been around the cat and whatever, but I wasn't, you know, you hear the locks and you're just like, oh, it's just the locks, you know what I'm saying? They was on Bad Boy, you know, whatever. They was on Rough Rider, like, whatever. And dude, I will say that versus the Locks versus Dipset was one of the most entertaining.
Oh, the best. That's the best one. That's the best one that was out.
The most entertaining.
Oh my God, Jim Jones falling off stage.
Oh man.
But the way, like you said, Jadakiss, the way that he grabbed that mic for New York, you know, like that was different than the other stuff, like you said, from back in the day, just that's the Locks. This like he had like the Holy Spirit in him right there. Dude, you know what I mean? Like
if I would have bet money, I would have lost that night, dude. As a matter of fact, I had conversations with people. I was like, oh, Dipset. But I was thinking Dipset because to me, the Dipset, they rap cooler together. In my eyes, they rap cooler together. But I didn't realize that the Locks made doper songs. Dipset had anthems. They definitely had anthems. But the Locks, the combination of Styles P, Chic, Luch, Jay, like together, like they're a team. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And that's kind of like when you think of the NBA, like I've seen some dope NBA teams, but they couldn't play together. You know what I'm saying? So you have the dopest team, you have all this talent or whatever, but if you can't play together, you're not gonna win. And then you have a team that's not that dope, but they're playing together like a college team and they're destroying everybody.
Right.
So I'm gonna hit you with the last question, man. I appreciate you having this conversation with me, you know, muddling your way through it. We making moves. So with everything we've seen with this pandemic, where do you see social interaction going in the next 2 years?
I see it floating further away from each other in ways. I kind of see it floating away because more and more things are separating people in general. So I think that like people are gravitating towards more social media platforms to communicate with people more versus like getting out and trying to conversate with people that aren't like them or people in general. Like I think since the pandemic, is kind of going down in its strength or whatnot, people are coming out to go to concerts and stuff like that amongst like-minded people. So that part's cool. But I think technology is separating people. You know, I really do in ways. In ways.
People need to keep their eyeball, and they not catching it. But Meta, you gotta understand, everything is being owned by Meta. Everything is an interactive, whatever. Like, I'm not gonna go on forever about this, but like, dude, when I was like in my 20s or whatever, dude, you had to talk to girls.
Yeah, you had to.
You had to go to. You went to the mall. Or a dance with dude. You had to. If your clothes was busted.
Yeah.
If your haircut was whack.
It can be like that.
But even with busted clothes and busted haircut, we talk to girls. We could talk to girls, and so we have that interaction where the disconnect is a lot of people now. Like I had somebody say to me, they were kind of tripping, like, oh, you like this person's blah 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 on social media, or just woo woo woo. And I'm like, man, I come from an era where we talked to it, like, dude, if we want to, we're gonna get at, like, dude, we don't have to go into no a DM is kind of like a cheat code. That's a cheat code for somebody to know how to talk to girls. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah. And it's not even really a cheat code. It's just some old other.
It's just laziness. It's a little bit of laziness. It's like how people refer to net bangers, you know what I mean? Like you're able to say stuff over the internet because you're scared to say it in real life, whether it's a girl or a cat.
Yeah.
And I mean, it is kind of crazy. I mean, like, this girl showed me her dating app because she's on some dating app, and she showed me the messages that she gets, and like she's just scrolling through them, like
wilder and wilder.
And I mean, these dudes, like, she's like, look at this, and this dude's saying some wild stuff. I'm like, I'm picturing, like, how would you say that to a girl and think that she would like want to be with you after that? And so it's like, wow. So it's like, you see that, and you see like people taking the easy, because it's easier for those people to just do it online than try to get dressed and go out. They
conversation.
Yes, it's splitting people up. It's like I asked people, Greg, when's the last time you sat down and by hand wrote a full page, by hand on paper? Like, and a lot of people are like, it's been forever, because I did it, and I was like, I looked like T-Rex afterwards. Like, my hand was like, I was like, oh my God,
cramping up.
We're losing certain technology is making us lose certain skills.
Well,
yeah.
Well, I'll say this and we'll close out. I start reading again, and not off of a computer screen. You know what I'm saying? Just a little dude, just a couple pages a day, like 2 pages a day. Like, get into something other than, and it's, you know what? I'm not gonna bash the internet because with all it's the gift and the curse. You know what I'm saying? It's because if it wasn't for this technology, I'd be in Eagle Rock right now, and I'd probably be waiting for you to come to LA so that you could come to Eagle Rock right now. We'd be sitting in the studio together,
right?
Right. Whatever. But because of technology, you're in your studio.
Yeah,
I'm in the Death Star or something like the Death Star. You know what I'm saying? And we was able to pull it off. You know what I'm saying? So a beautiful thing. So with all that being said, you want to give your socials?
Yeah, you guys go check out my social media. That's at Dtragic. That's at DTRAGIC on all the social media platforms, Instagram, Facebook. Also, you guys could tune in Wednesday nights, 10 p.m. to midnight, Word on the Streets Radio on 91.9 FM KCSB. You can stream us live also too as well at www.kcsb.org. And, check out 805hiphop.com. That's it'll tell you what's popping in the area between LA and the Bay. That's us, the 805.
Ty. Well, I want to give a shout out to Mitchell James Blue. He was holding it down in the chat. We also had Mega 155. And DJ Uncle Phil was a rider, man.
Yeah, Uncle Phil, brethren.
And especially, you know, from London, like, man, he a real rebel to be you know what I'm saying, up in the middle of the night, you know what I'm saying, early in the morning, you know what I'm saying, giving us his time. So with that being said, this was another episode of Splendid Radio on Pharcyde TV. Peace.